So, ladies and gentlemen, now we have come into an era where now brown Indonesians are playing white supremacy. White people have even outsourced that job. And none other than German media is covering this news. They are still feeling guilty about it. Let's watch it together.
Concerns over the growing influence of white supremacy on young people. It follows a bomb attack last year on a Jakarta mosque. A 17-year-old student is the chief suspect. Our report now looks at how certain violent ideologies are making their way into the home of the world's largest Muslim population.
These are photos of a toy gun owned by a
By the way, if you are using the X, formerly known as Twitter, you will notice that so many accounts who are spreading white supremacist ideology are actually from Muslim nations and Indonesia specifically.
17-year-old boy. He was found at the scene of the school attack in Jakarta last November. Written on it, the names of Western far-right extremists such as Brandon Tarrant and Alexandre Bissonet. Nearly 100 people were injured in several bomb explosions at the school, including the young suspect. He was not affiliated with any terrorist groups, according to the police, but they say his actions appear to have been inspired by white supremacists. The teenager is now in jail, facing multiple charges of assaults. The worry at Indonesia's counterterrorism agency is he might not be alone.
For us, this case should not be underestimated
Imagine an Indonesian who looks like that believes that he is a superior white race.
as an isolated incident. More teenagers may be exposed to these ideas online.
Elon Musk has bought this platform, I think specifically for this purpose. He's trying to spread his propaganda and its ideology by collaborating with the far-right ideologues, the owners of Project 2025.
That threat will grow as digital communities expand.
Indonesia, home to one of the world's largest Muslim populations, has suffered deadly attacks by Islamist militants. Now, a new concern is growing. Over the past 3 years, officials have recorded a rise in exposure to far-right extremism, especially online.
The data show that over the past 3 years, particularly from 2023 to 2025, there's been a very significant increase in the exposure to such radical ideologies, intolerance, extremism, even terrorism.
In online chat rooms, often connected to computer games, such ideology can radicalize across borders and cultures. It is the thought, the idea of an underdog becoming an action man is
Manosphere and gaming industry is becoming a pipeline towards far-right's ideology. The racial purity ideologies, misogyny, and they are trying to target specifically young men.
particularly attractive. This teenager did not want to be identified.
One of the games I played has a voice chat. I play with people from other countries, and that's where I heard racist language being used. Such content can be so addictive for young people. It could spark our curiosity to get involved in violence in real life.
In 2025, authorities sent 70 children to rehabilitation for allegedly planning violent attacks inspired by far-right movements. They had joined online groups to share plans, and some had even made explosives at home. Analysts say white supremacists are not targeting Indonesians directly, but the algorithm means that content arrives here too. So, experts say Indonesian authorities should look beyond Islamist threats.
We have to abandon those bias about what happened in Indonesia. What happened in Indonesia is mostly done by the Islamists. But it's a very typical bias, so this also affects our approach. So we have to be more careful about it, so we don't really target only exclusively to one group, but we have to also target a larger audience.
The government is drawing up ways to work with teachers and parents to help prevent such radicalization. It also plans to follow neighbor Australia and restrict social media access for minors from March.
And with a
Guys, if you have young children, monitor what they are watching online, because this ideology is really dangerous. It promotes division and hatred.
Now from Singapore is Sadiq Bashat with the International Center for Political Violence and Terrorism Research. Welcome to the program and thank you for joining us. Why do you think that so many Indonesian teens are being swayed by Western far-right ideology?
Thank you for the question. So I think this is largely driven by the mainstreaming of Western far-right ideas on social media. So extremist narratives are often packaged through humor, irony, and reinforced by very attractive, stylized aesthetics, and again, amplified by algorithms. So this makes it very resonant for teenagers who are still forming identity and seeking belonging. And I think one thing to add, crucially, this is not just a wholesale import we're seeing, right? So local far-right communities are adapting these ideas. So for example, Western symbols like the sun and rat are being replaced with locally resonant imagery, while great replacement narratives are being reframed around local majority minority anxieties.
If the Indonesian government asked you for your advice on how to deal with this, what would you tell them?
For me, I think that the government has, so I would say they should continue increasingly pair their enforcement efforts with prevention. So I believe beyond arrest, Densus currently has stepped up prevention and awareness work with schools to address what it calls IRET ideology. So intolerance, radicalism, extremism, and terrorism. So I think current efforts are, I think they have made significant efforts. And so, for instance, Densus 88 recently worked with 54 junior high school principals to educate them on things like early detection, spotting warning signs, strengthening safeguards, things like that. So I think if they continue on this trajectory, I think I think that would be beneficial for Indonesian society. Yeah.
Talk with us about the different kinds of threats, because I mean, we know Indonesia is a huge Muslim country. Has it perhaps focused a bit too much on Islamist threats and maybe ignored others? How do you see the breakdown of what's being focused on right now?
Yeah. So I would say the focus of Islamist threats remains warranted, right? But it's no longer exclusive. So to just give you just a brief background, Indonesia's terrorist landscape based on jihadist violence is now at its low ebb. So Jemaah Ansarut Daulah hasn't carried out an attack in 2 years, and JI was disbanded in 2024. That said, pro-IS online milieus remain active, including recent cases involving youth recruitment via social media and online games. At the same time, I think authorities are clearly broadening their threat land. So Densus 88 said in December that it had provided early intervention and mentoring for around 70 children exposed to neo-Nazi and white supremacist ideologies. So I think we should not underestimate the threat of Islamist extremism, but I think the Indonesian authorities have been quick to respond to the new threat of neo-Nazi and white supremacist communities. Yeah.
In Singapore, Sadiq Basha, expert on political violence and terrorism. Thanks so much for your time.
So guys, what do you think? We should allow all that in the name of free speech, because free speech also consists of offensive speech, or government should do crackdown on it, because this is bad for our societies and there is no positivity into it. Let me know in this comment section. Thank you very much.